Is it okay? You're good? Okay. Let's see, I'll call the meeting of October 15th of the Affordable Housing Trust to order. As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Forrest Bell.
Aye.
Tom Murphy.
Aye.
Tom Dixon.
Here.
Let's see. Is that everybody that we have? Yes, Christy? Okay. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Christy Ferrantella.
Here.
Okay. And Lee Smith.
Here.
Thank you, Lee. Anticipated speakers on the agenda. Please respond in the affirmative. Let's see. We have Tucker Holland.
Here.
And Megan Perry. I don't see her here. Megan will come back later when we get to that agenda item. Okay, I think.
Brian Riley is.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Brian, can we check your mic?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. This is an open meeting. The Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For the meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening via video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note the meeting is being recorded. All attendees are participating via video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along, use the posted agenda until we note otherwise. We will turn to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, remember to cover ground rules for effective and clear conduct on our business. I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. They conclude their remarks. We'll move down the members, inviting each for comment, questions, or motions. Hold until your name is called. Please mute your phone or computer when not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the floor is yielded to you. State your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken for items with public comment, the chair will afford public comment to those members that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names, be acknowledged, and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote will be conducted via roll call. With that, we'll move to the second item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda, which I think we're going to make some edits. Is that correct, Christy?
Yes, I just wanted to make one edit in the executive session. Number 1 for the approval of minutes. We're going to remove January 16th, February 20th, March 26th, May 21st, June 25th, and July 7th. So we'll only be reviewing the October 1st minutes.
Okay. And so that's the same as on the regular agenda. So we're keeping it where it is on the regular agenda. Okay. So with those comments, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended with Christie's suggestion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Forrest. By roll call, Forrest Bell.
Aye.
Tom Murphy.
Aye.
Tom Dixon.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan tonight. We will move to item number 3, public comments for items not listed on the agenda. I am working from my phone and I can only see 5 or 8 windows. So if anybody sees a hand up, please let me know.
Don't see any public comment hands up, but I did want to make one public comment. I just wanted to let the trust members know that Abby is not present today because she did welcome baby Juliet. And the baby is doing very well, as is Abby and family. And Juliet was born on her father's birthday, as we had discussed at the last meeting. So just a big congratulations to Abby, her baby girl.
Exciting. Thank you for sharing, Chris. Okay, seeing no other public comment. Going once And closed. So public comment is now closed. We will move to, that's 3, 4, approval of minutes from the October 1st meeting. Any questions, comments, edits to them as they are? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the meetings as the minutes from the October 1st meeting as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Shanta. In a second.
I second.
Thank you, Forrest. By roll call, Forrest Bell,
Aye.
Shanta Murphy,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan. I'm an aye. CCAP application for 11 Equator Drive. I took a look at the application myself. There were a couple of things that I saw were inconsistent. In the application, the purchase and sale contract is for land at $360,000, but the original front page of the application read 400. I called the attorney representing the buyer of the property and asked if she could clean up the paperwork for us. She was more than happy to fix any inconsistencies. She did explain to me that the purchaser is buying land and moving a house to the property, and that their loan approval includes the construction costs up to $629,000 is their loan. Other than that, that's kind of all I have on it. Lee, I see you listening in and I appreciate that. Is there an opportunity that we could approve this application with those edits made post approval?
I'm not sure what you mean by post approval. You want to
If
approve
the-
it today and it's subject to what you just said?
Yeah, if the board is so inclined to approve the CCAP application or the funds, can we do it with the application being corrected?
As amended.
As amended?
That's fine. Just so you know, I have not reviewed it, but if you want me to review that, and you can make it subject to town council approval.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
to approve the CCAP contingent on the chair and town council satisfaction with the suggested edits as suggested by the chair.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any conversation or second on Tom's motion?
I second it.
Thank you, Forrest. Vote by roll call. Forrest Bell,
Aye.
Shanta Murphy,
Lost my window.
and Tom Dixon.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan's an aye. Thank you. Review and review and discuss open meeting law complaint filed by Megan Perry. Review. So Christy, I will have you open, then offer Lee time and see where we go from there.
Thank you. We actually have Brian Riley on today as he's been the one
Oh.
working.
Great. Thank you.
So just wanted to let everybody know that we're reviewing and discussing, but not discussing the response yet because we had to post the agenda because of the long weekend earlier. So I just wanted to point that out, and then I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
Okay, great. So I'll come to Attorney Riley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, just so you know, I assume you've seen the complaint that was filed at the time last week when Christy needed to post this agenda. I wasn't sure if I could get you a draft response or not. A written response on behalf of the board, which I can certainly put together, needs to go out by October 30th. So as long as you're going to meet again by the 29th, you can just do it at that meeting. It is possible to request an extension from the Attorney General's office, which they give pretty freely. So that depends on your schedule. I mean, you can talk about what's in the complaint, and members can certainly talk about what they think a response should be, but there won't be any formal approval of what that response is until your next meeting. I don't know what else you want me to say, other than based on the information I got from Christie and from the town manager's office. Those two offices put together the statement that's the subject of this complaint. And so neither this board nor the select board had a role in either drafting it or approving it or anything else. And so my own opinion is that neither board has violated the open meeting law, because there wasn't any, phone calls, emails, getting together of a quorum to talk about this, and therefore no, illegal meeting or deliberation took place. But the board members can certainly talk about this, and I'll take into account and get you a draft for your next meeting.
Thank you, Attorney Riley. Do any members of the board have question, comment, or at this time, or do you want to wait till you have an opportunity to at a future meeting? With that note, we don't have a future meeting scheduled prior to the 29th. I think there will be 2 items that are pressing, if I understand from Christie correctly. So there may be a suggested date of, is it October 25th?
Correct.
Christie? Okay. So if members are available to meet on the 25th, Attorney Riley, is that a date that we could have the document by to review, to respond?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Is there the general ability, do people know their schedules? Is that a realistic opportunity for us to, at least the 4 of us, to meet for a quorum on the 25th? Morris?
I may be able to meet on Friday, the 25th. It depends what time, just because, I do have planning periods, but a lot of the day I'm in class. So it would all depend on when it was scheduled.
Okay. Well, I, for one, would love to schedule around your free periods, so.
Okay, thanks, Sully. I can, Christy, if it's okay, I can actually email you when I'm available,
That would
if
be,
it's okay with you.
Great. Are any members so inclined to discuss it today, or do we prefer to hold until the 28th until there's a review? I'm getting the tenor that we will hold until we have something for a review.
Okay.
So with that, do I leave that item open, or do I close the agenda item for today?
You can, if it's not gonna be a discussion, you can move on to your next one, and I'll just send my proposed draft to Christie, well ahead of the 25th.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you, Attorney.
Okay.
Let's see, coming back to discussion, request approval by town. Request approval by trust to consummate close on the purchase of 71 and to authorize the chair or designee to execute all of the documents related hereto, subject to town council approval. So this is an action item. Christie, I'll come to you.
thank you, Brian. With today's forum and Brian needing to recuse, can I ask that we hold this to the end, because Meg Browers is going to join us? And then if she doesn't, then we'll just have to hold off until the next meeting.
So let's keep moving, and we'll leave this one on there for the moment. Let's see. Item 8. Consider renewal funding of strategy and communications agreement with Jeremy Cockford on the transfer fee. Christy, do you want to open and then pass to Tucker Holland?
So just to remind everybody, the Affordable Homes Act included a provision for the transfer fee, and we really advocated strongly for that and used 7 letters and Jeremy Crawford to help kind of advance these efforts. And so Tucker has been really leading the drive on this, and so brought this proposal to us for review. And I'm going to hand it over to Tucker to discuss kind of where we are, where we're going, and what's included in the proposal.
Great. Thank you, Christy. Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Christy. Good to be with you all. Nice to see Forrest joining the ranks here. And so thank you for the opportunity to present this to you. As I think many, if not all of you, are familiar with Jeremy Crockford. He was the principal on the 7-letter side of the equation. Again, to kind of remind folks, in the effort to build awareness and support for the transfer fee for housing, Martha's Vineyard had engaged O'Neill and Associates, a direct lobbying firm. Those funds were raised privately and administered through the Community Foundation on the Vineyard. We had engaged concurrently 7-letter, which is the sister firm on the marketing and strategy side of O'Neill and Associates. And so we've really been working hand in hand in concert with the Vineyard on advancing this cause, if you will. As folks know, and Christy just outlined, ultimately the transfer fee was not included in the final version of the bill that became law. The administration obviously was very supportive in including it. And Brian and Christy and I recently had a chance to talk with Senator Sear, along with Jeremy Crockford and Matt Irish on the O'Neill side, and the Martha's Vineyard folks, to kind of do a debrief on why it didn't go through in the last session, and is there reason for optimism in terms of getting the transfer fee for the islands in the next session, and if so, what might be some strategies around that. And I think the outcome of that discussion was there continues to be reason for optimism. This is obviously a major item, clear opposition from the off-island real estate lobby. Brian has been a critical voice in being able to relay to legislators that, hey, not all realtors feel this way about the transfer fee. Realtors here on the islands actually are very supportive of it. They recognize the need and the values. So we have the opportunity, as we look forward to the next session here, to engage Jeremy directly. He has left 7-letter, and he is working basically with a handful of clients where he really believes in the cause, and he's giving that opportunity to us. Kind of a benefit of him not being at 7-letter is we're able to engage him for basically half the cost previously. So previously we had been engaging them at a cost of $7,500 a month during the formal session, which is January to July, and then $5,000 a month for the informal session. So as you can see in the proposal, the cost is half of that. And, I think it's, without diminishing anything that 7-letter as a whole contributed, the value in terms of placement in a variety of publications that really help raise awareness around this issue is properly credited to Jeremy and his connections and long experience in this industry. So there's no question that Jeremy would continue to work hand in hand with Matt Irish and the O'Neill team as they have before. And finally, I can just share that the Vineyard has already re-engaged O'Neill, to go into this next session, continuing to promote getting this transfer fee for housing. So with that, I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can.
Great. Thank you, Tucker. Opening up to members of the board for questions. In sharing some of my experience having gone to Boston to participate in a few discussions, actually, I think for me, you brought some students to one of the events, I think it was Aloha Coalition event. They have been seemingly, I have limited experience, but seemingly well organized, an opportunity to get in front of legislators face to face and really talk about our needs here on the island, which I don't know whether we would have that access without an opportunity to work with somebody like Jeremy or not. I don't know. The update that I heard was we made significant progress. I think getting the seasonal communities designation created a opportunity for the islands and some parts of the Cape to be looked at in a way that potentially a transfer fee could be applied just to seasonal communities. But it's obviously this is a long road, as this is now what, Tucker, year 8 or 9 of having started with a home rule petition and continuing to where we are today. Where having originally started by ourselves, we had a significant number of the 351 communities in the state interested. So that's kind of my commentary. Tom?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think that this is a good idea unless we or the Nantucket public thinks differently and wants to make a change of course. That as you stated, we've been fighting this fight for a while now, and to keep this in the press and the public eye and to shed awareness on shine a light on that teachers, firefighters, et cetera, all the very true narratives that we live with here on Nantucket is important. And I think if the price were going up, that there may be some for this proposal, that there may be a different decision. But since it's going down, and since we continue this, and because of the progress of seasonal communities designation and standing up of EOHLC, and that Julian and Dylan, and I'm sure Thomas, when he's sworn in January, since he has no opponent, will continue on, and Tucker and Christy and yourself, Mr. Chair, and et cetera. So I think it's a lot of good work, and I think we should continue. This doesn't seem like that big of a barrier for us to continue our work.
Thank you, Tom. Forrest?
Well, first of all, I definitely echo Tom's sentiments, and but I also wanted to correct the record. I was at that event, but it was the CPS teacher who brought students. I didn't bring students, and
There,
it was an
second to
amazing
last
idea.
item before they adjourn.
But I just
For the
wanted to correct the
executive.
record.
Thank you, Forrest. So Chantal, any commentary, or do I look for a motion?
I guess I don't know how I feel about this. One, I think that it's really important that we continue this work. I'm constantly worrying about optics, how it looks to go from the company that we've been working with to an employee who has branched out on their own. While I appreciate that the fees are less, something that's rolling around the back of my head. And then next is it not worth engaging? Because this is how many times we've attempted this and it hasn't worked. So is it not worth, and I know nobody likes the word RFP or RFQ, because we know what that process looks like as coming from the town. However, if it's not worth putting feelers out to see if we might have success elsewhere, since it hasn't necessarily worked out. Yeah, we've made some steps forward, but how many baby steps more, and can we afford to continue to make just baby steps? And is it not worth finding out if there's another firm or person that can help us get a little bit further? And I've never met this person, so I can't, I've never gone on any of these trips that you guys are mentioning, so I can't speak to having experienced firsthand their work.
Just for clarity on the record, I appreciate your comments. Thank you. The length of time, so the home rule petition that we've been sending up was in the area of 8 years. We have only worked with one of these groups for, I think, one contract, and it was maybe it was 2 contracts for 2 6-month periods. So over the course of the last year in the bill, the Affordable Homes Act bill. So there hasn't been a long history in politicking in this manner. I do. So the effort has been long. We've only brought in resources in the near term. I do like the idea of bringing in more resources. I don't know what that opportunity looks like because to be perfectly honest, I don't know what the field is like. Tucker?
Yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate question, like, are we working with the right people to get this done and so forth? I mean, I guess I can emphasize that the Vineyard is already re-engaged O'Neill and Associates. So the direct lobbying part would not change. So the question would be, if Nantucket felt like there was a different marketing strategy firm that was worth engaging. And I guess what you have to take into consideration is the working relationship between those folks and the direct lobbyist. And I guess it may be worth mentioning that O'Neill and Associates and Jeremy, in his role at 7 Letter, were involved with getting the short-term rental fee over the finish line at the legislature. So that as one piece of legislation that they have successfully been involved with, and that has sort of direct relevance to the type of thing that we're trying to do here, which obviously was part of the decision-making process in the first place of going to work with these folks. We had looked at several different firms, going into this. So not to say that there aren't others that can't do it. I just wanted to bring, the opportunity to the trust to consider, continuing on with the horse we rode in on, so to speak, and why that horse might, may continue to be valuable in achieving our objective ultimately, and what the Vineyard is doing, because it is relevant, how we approach this in conjunction with our sister island.
And one last question, Christy and/or Tucker. This, I guess, is directed at one of the two of you. This is the land trust requesting a grant to fund this process. Who will be hiring? Forgive me, I just blanked on Jeremy. Or is this structured a different way?
Well, it's really, however, the Affordable Housing Trust would like to do it. We had structured it beforehand that the funds would flow through the community foundation, which mirrors how things work at the on the Vineyard side. So the difference at the Vineyard, or on the Vineyard, is that the funds raised are privately raised funds that go through a fund at the community foundation there, and it's the community foundation and that fund, if you will, that engage O'Neill and Associates. Here it was structured where we would have the same type of format. It would flow through the community foundation through a fund there. The land trust fund existed, so it was sort of easy to just use that for this purpose. And then it's that fund and the community foundation here that engaged 7 Letter. So it's really a question for the trust whether they would rather engage directly, or this vehicle at the foundation is still available if that's the preferred method.
Okay, thank you. Christy, come to you and then to Shanta.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think utilizing it the way that we've done it in the past as a grant to the community foundation to support these efforts was how we did it last year. So that's how I envisioned it would be done this year as well.
Thank you. Shanta, I thought I saw your hand up for a second. No, okay. Are there more questions or a motion on the table? If I may make a recommendation for a motion to support the funding as presented through a grant to the Community Land Trust for another cycle of the contract.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Tom.
I agree with the comments before about it being very important to support our sister island and the Cape and Islands, et cetera, whoever falls into at the moment, the seasonal communities designation, because almost for certain, Nantucket is probably never going to get its own transfer fee. And the seasonal communities will be the best vehicle for this. So I think the more we are in concert and speaking with one voice on this with communities that are similar to Nantucket, the higher likelihood we will of possibly this coming to fruition someday. So I will make that motion that you, as stated by you.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Forrest. Vote by roll. Forrest Bell,
Aye.
Chantal Murphy,
No,
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's and I. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Tucker, I do think that it is worth exploring Chantal's thoughts on this moving post this contract and what other opportunities. Hopefully there's no need to, because a transfer fee is done, but I think time is of the essence. Moving this forward is great, but I think exploring her thoughts is very worthwhile.
For sure. So I mean, what I would just kind of plant a seed on is that, about 10 months from now, after we're through the upcoming formal session, it would be useful to schedule a discussion with the CCMVHB, the coalition to create the Martha's Vineyard Housing Bank, perhaps a joint discussion between this board and them about, where things are at that point. And to your point, Mr. Chair, hopefully it's moot because it's done. But if it's not, collectively strategize on how to move forward.
Thank you, Tucker. Shanta?
I also think it's important, while we're funding this effort, which I'm 100% in support of doing work towards a transfer fee, securing that for Cape and Islands. But I think it's important while we're engaging these consultants to do this work that we're at least meeting with them. And I don't know what happens, outside of the regular trust meeting, or if the chair is meeting with them and the housing office obviously is meeting with them. But, for the rest of us to feel like we're a little bit more informed about what we're doing. Because if we're talking marketing strategies for such an important effort, I think it's really important that we're all on the same page. And I don't feel like I'm on the same page with this, because outside of what I read in the paper or occasionally here in these meetings, I don't have any more information. So.
Thank you, Shanta. Tucker, we can work to fix that.
For sure. And, I think it would be, again, like really useful for the trust to extend an invitation to Julian post-election to come to a trust meeting to talk specifically about the strategy going into this next session. I mean, the outcome of the election will impact that, and who is elected as the next leaders of the House and Senate are important, which, obviously we don't know today, but I absolutely feel that would be a very, very good thing to do.
All right, Christy, put it on the calendar. All right, with that, we'll close this item. What's next? Consider review funding, CBA written request comments. That was Jeremy Crawford. Item 9, review ZBA request for written.
Meeting minutes that Meg Brower has joined.
Oh, hey, Meg. Okay, so we're going to come back to item 4. No, 5, 6, 7. Item 7, request for approval by the trust to close on the purchase of 71 Surfside Road, to authorize the chair as designee to execute any and all documents related thereto, subject to approval by town council. As reminded, I've been recused on this. I think, Tom, you've handled this in past discussions, so I will pass the item to you and step up. I'm not going to leave.
Okay. Pleasure of the trust. Any questions on this item, or are the members of the trust, any members of the trust ready to make a motion? I believe, sign the purchase and sale for this. We've discussed this property at length, and everything seems great. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify the language that's bracketed. That was intended to be an alternative to the word consummate, but same thing. At the trust discretion.
Chantal?
I'll make the motion words for approval by the trust to close on the purchase of 71 Surfside Road and to authorize the chair or his designee to execute any and all documents related thereto, subject to approval by town council.
Thank you, Chantal. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Meg. All those in favor by roll call. Meg Browers.
Aye.
Chantal Blois Murphy.
Aye.
Forrest Bell.
Aye.
And the chair pro tem Tom votes aye. Mr. Chair. That passes.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, shoot, I touched the screen. What do I do now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Back to where were we? 7, renewal. Item 9, review ZBA request for written comments on Surfside Crossing 40B development review. So this is the second item that I believe we'll have discussion on for a future meeting, October 25th. Is that correct, Christy? Head shaking yes.
Yes, to finalize and vote on the letter would be for October 25th. And so the ask would be that to provide any more input and comments to assist in the drafting of the letter.
Is there any more, is there any comment or discussion today that anybody would like to provide to Christy to include in the letter? You know, having just reread the one from prior, while it's out of date, I think the general thoughts and tenor are consistent with hopes and goals of the future. So I think that's a great baseline. Meg, you had your hand up.
I don't have a raise hand button for some reason. I don't know if it's just me. I haven't had a chance, if there's something that we've been sent that we're supposed to review in terms of our written comments for the ZBA, I have not reviewed that yet, but I just want to reiterate that I think the email that Chair Sullivan sent in 2018 in response to the original proposal stands strong in its messaging. And I would love for us to, as a board or as a trust, review that. And I would propose we include that information, those questions, those statements in the response to the ZBA, because I think they still hold true. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Meg. And just for clarity, that was a written letter, not an email. That referring to, just as we're looking back for documents. Christy?
So I was just gonna add, the last letter mentioned concern around density, sharing concerns that the fire and police had in their written comments, asking to limit short-term rentals on both affordable and market rate units, and ensuring that a majority went to year round. And so I just wanted to confirm that those are kind of the statements that you're looking for in this letter as well.
I think Also, since that letter was written, we have created a definition of year-round, which I think is worth identifying as what we would consider a consistent definition or a baseline. I'm trying to think of what else has happened since 2018. It feels like a lot, but I can't think of it.
Okay. We do have updated housing production. So we can just include that in our comments.
Chantal?
Christy, is it just me or is her voice going out for everybody else or is it just my computer? Okay, all right. Sorry, Christy. I didn't hear anything you just.
Sorry, the internet in the town building is a little funky in the corner. So I can repeat back and maybe if anybody can hear me, can repeat it back again. The last letter mentioned reducing density, shared concerns with fire and police, asking to limit short-term rentals in the affordable and market rate units, and ensuring that a majority of the units are year-round.
Thank you. They've made revisions to their proposal. Have we seen those requests reflected in the revisions? I don't know if they have made revision. I'm just asking if they have, and if so. Just curious.
Go ahead, Christy.
So I was going to say, one of the concerns previously was the need for more like 1 and 2 bedroom units. The previous single family homes had a lot of 4 bedrooms plus. And so the new all condominium based is made up of studios, 1, 2s, and 3s. So that is a change that aligned with our previous letter.
Any other board members before I go to Tucker Holland? Okay, go ahead, Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, one thing that has changed since 2018 is the developer's own statement that they see the best version of this project being 75% year-round. So I think somewhere in your letter you want to capture what their own stated intention is.
Meg?
I would like to also say that if they are sharing that they would like to make 75% year-round housing, I'd like that to be, and that's something that we feel should be a requirement. Maybe there should be a little bit something more official rather than just like a handshake or a promise to try to do a certain number of things affordable or year-round or a combination of the two. So for me, I feel like there needs to be some clarity around that, if we can get any from them. Or just make it, maybe it's a trust recommendation to the ZBA that clarifying how much they're committing to would be great.
Any other comments? All right, so I think, Christy, that enough to work with on redrafting the letter to circulate? Okay, we're gonna pin down the meeting date. Okay, great. Okay, so that's item 9. Did I miss one? Am I on track? Did I miss one?
You're good.
Review. Okay, jumping out of session confused me. So item 10, executive session. So we'll be looking to adjourn from public session to reconvene in executive session, not to come back to public session for the purpose of discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or real value of property. Someone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
In a second?
Second,
Thank you, Tom. Vote by roll call. Chantal Murphy,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
Forrest Bell,
Aye.
Tom Dixon.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan's an aye. Great. Thanks, everybody.